Hello, hello! Today I thought I would tell you about the books that I read in October. I read 7 books, which is pretty good for me. This year has been weird in reading where I've read a lot, but I also feel like there's been months where I have not read very much, but I've felt reading slumpy throughout the month and then still read a good amount of books. So it's just been kind of a strange year of reading for me, to be completely honest. And this month was another kind of weird one where I read 7 books and I gave 4 of them 3 stars, which isn't like a very high rating for me. So, I don't know, take that as you will, but let me tell you about them. So, first I'm gonna clump these into the vlogs they were included in, because some of them, 5 out of the 7, were in vlogs where I talk way more in depth about them. So the first 2 books that I read were for the Made of Magic readathon. That was a super fun readathon that was hosted by Seasons Readings, Summer, and Zoe Pfluger. I think it's Zoe Delaney on YouTube, I believe. So I read these 2 books for that reading vlog. And that was A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed and A Botanist's Guide to Flowers and Fatality by Kate Gavari. I gave both of these books 3 stars. I didn't love either of them, but I didn't necessarily hate them. If you want to know my in-depth thoughts and actually see me reading them, you can check out that vlog. I will link it for you. I'll put it up here, whatever side it's on. I can never remember and I don't want to think about it that hard. So, you know where to click. Didn't love either of those books. A Study in Drowning is about this girl who is an architecture student, and she enters kind of this competition, I guess. It's not really a competition because I guess it is. She enters a competition to be able to redesign the house of her favorite author, and she wins the competition, so she gets to go redesign the house. She discovers some things. There's kind of a fairy king aspect, which was very interesting, and I did like that part of it. And yeah, she's there with another student, a little bit of will they won't they, and yeah, it was okay. I didn't really love it that much. The next book was A Botanist's Guide to Flowers and Fatality. This is number 2 in the series. The first one is Botanist's Guide to Parties and Poisons. I loved the first one. I didn't really like the second one that much. The issue for me with the second one, let me tell you what it's about. So, Saffron is the main character. She is a research assistant. She works at this university, so you get some nice dark academia. Well, I don't know how dark it is. I guess there's murder, so that makes it dark. Some academic settings and things in these books, which is always fun. And basically, she is a botanist, and she's discovering things about poisonous plants. There's a lot about poisonous plants, which is very fun. And in this book, she is working with a doctor, and they're doing this research about various poisonous plants and how they affect people throughout the English countryside. And yeah, people start dying, and there's bouquets of flowers with poisonous flowers in them being sent to them. And so she's just trying to figure out who's doing the killing and why. What I didn't like about this one as much is because I felt like her character was a little bit watered down from the first one. I didn't really like, I guess, the way her character developed. She seemed a lot less academically driven, which is something I really liked in the first one. And just a little more frivolous, I guess. The whole book was a little more frivolous. That would be the word I decide to use today. So yeah, again, you can check out that reading vlog. I did have a really fun time in the reading vlog, and the vlog itself is fun. So even though I didn't love these books, I think it was still worth it. It was still worth it. The next 3-book clump that I read was for a spooky season reading vlog, and these were books that I chose because they were somehow spooky in nature and fit into spooky season. So the first one is Cackle by Rachel Harrison. That one I gave a 3-star again, and I talked about this in depth in that video, but kind of the themes of feminism seemed off to me, and I want to know more about what the author intended, because I'm not really sure how much I agreed with the messaging that was being put across, I guess you could say. But this one, you are following a teacher who is moving from the big city into a small town in upstate New York, and she just doesn't, she's just been broken up with, and she's just having a hard time, and she meets this woman in town who she becomes very enamored with and is very curious about what her relationship to the town is, because all of the townspeople seem to fawn over her but also be afraid of her, and so she kind of wants to know what's going on. There's some witchy things and a lot of spider imagery in this one, which didn't bother me too much actually, even though I don't love spiders. But yeah, if you are really afraid of spiders, you might not like it because there's a lot of spider imagery. So yeah, again, you can check out that vlog to know my in-depth thoughts of what really bugged me about it. The next one that I read was A Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. This was a 5-star for me. I absolutely loved it. I'm a big fan of old people solving mysteries. It's just something that I enjoy in books and movies, and you know, when they're British, it's just better, I guess. I like British humor a lot, and so I really enjoyed that. And a lot of the bad reviews that I saw for this book were honestly just people who don't jive with British humor, and so they just didn't like the writing style very much. So I guess that's something to keep in mind. This is about a group of retirees. They live at this retirement home, and they meet together every Thursday to try and crack cold cases. And then a dead body shows up, and they want to insert themselves into the investigation and figure out who killed this person. And it's really entertaining, and it's so fun, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it is a 4-book series, and I'm excited to keep reading in it because I had a really fun time. So yeah, shout out to my friend Pauline for recommending this book to me. Pauline, if you're watching this, I love you. So yeah, the next book that I read was Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doughty. This is a nonfiction book about the author's experience working in a crematorium as a mortician, and later as a mortician. She wasn't a mortician at the time she worked at the crematorium, which is very interesting. I guess you don't have to be a mortician. She got it just like because she needed a job. But this kind of dives deep into beliefs about death, cultural beliefs about death, and how if you knew more about the death industry, you might view dead bodies differently. And I think that that's something that's really, really interesting. My sister Sarah recommended this to me, and she has another book called From Here to Eternity that I would like to read that my sister Sarah said is more about kind of those cultural aspects, which is something that I always really enjoy. So yeah, that was a 4-star for me, and I really, really liked it. I thought it was super interesting. The next 2 books that I read were not included in any vlogs, so I can go a little more in depth into them and what I thought. The first one was The Office BFFs. This is by Jenna Fischer and Angela Kinsey. I listened to this on audiobook. This book is just like about their time on The Office and like reminiscing about how it made them become best friends. I am a big fan of the Office Ladies podcast. I listen to it all the time. I've only seen The Office through once, and I did really enjoy it. I wouldn't say I'm like a super fan of The Office, but I am a super fan of Jenna Fischer and Angela Kinsey and their friendship and just how sweet they are. What I really, really loved about this book was them talking about their motherhood and their different experiences and how their experiences differed from each other and how they had to help each other get through it. Something that I really enjoyed was Angela Kinsey was talking about how when she had her first daughter, Jenna Fischer was still single, and just how different your life is for like when you are a single person versus a mom and you just became a mom. Like that is just so starkly different, and how it kind of affected their friendship, and they had to like get back on board with each other because Jenna didn't know how to support Angela in her motherhood because they're just in different stages of life. And I just thought that was so interesting, and I really enjoyed it. Honestly, if you listen to the Office Ladies podcast, there's like not a ton of new stories in the book, but I still enjoyed hearing them. And this book actually did make me cry when they were talking about motherhood and supporting each other and just having good friends and a good community to support you through your motherhood. It made me tear up a little bit. So yeah, I really love that. 5 stars. I just, love me some Office BFFs, you know what I mean? And then the last book that I read was Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. I wanted to love this book so much, and I gave it a 3-star, and I'm just sad because I've read quite a few Agatha Christie's. Honestly, I can't even remember all of the ones which I have read because I read a big chunk of them when I was like, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13. So it's been a while. And I don't really remember a whole lot. And I read, And Then There Were None a few months ago. And I really enjoyed my reread of that. And so I was really hoping that I would like this one too. And I just was so bored. This one is about a 13-year-old girl. Her name starts with a J. Don't quite remember what it is. Hold on. Joyce. Her name is Joyce. A 13-year-old girl named Joyce dies at a party, is murdered. And it is a Poirot mystery. And I was just bored. I'm sorry. And I love Agatha Christie, and I think she is just such a good author, but this one just wasn't for me, I guess. And, like, listen, you guys, this book made me fall asleep, physically fall asleep, 3 separate times. And one of those times was in the middle of the day. Like, I laid my daughter down for her nap, and I was like, oh, I'll read during nap time. And I fell asleep, and I took a nap too. And I don't know, I guess I could have been extra tired that day. I mean, I have a 1-year-old, and I'm pregnant, so, like, that's reason enough to be sleepy. But, wow, it just got me. It made me fall asleep multiple times. And I don't know what it is about this book. I think because a lot of the book, we're just following him, like, around town, being like, hey, did you know this kid who died? And the person's like, yeah, she was a liar. And then it's just like, that was the whole book, basically. So yeah. I would recommend watching Lexi's video. I'll put it in the description box. She actually tried to solve this mystery, and that was a very entertaining video. So even though I didn't really love the book, I did enjoy watching her video trying to solve the book. So there's that, I guess. But yeah, those were the 7 books that I read. I'm hoping that my November reads will be stronger and it will be less 3 stars, because it was just like kind of lame that I didn't love as many books this month. So yeah, I'm hoping I'll love more in November. Let me know what you read in October, and if you've read any of these books, if you agree with me or if you disagree with me, if you love them, I would love to know. I really would. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!